Well, welcome everyone. Today, I'm Linda Cry, a firm owner with Action Coach XL Edge, and it is my privilege and my honor to welcome Henry Shield, and we're going to learn a little bit about him and his business. So thank you, Henry, for spending some time with us as a busy business owner and a professional. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about who you are and the business that you are investing in and own, and we'll talk a little bit more about insights that we can learn from you.
Absolutely. Yeah. My name is Henry Shields. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. The name of my business, my wife and I started this business, is Omaha Bagel Company, based out of Omaha, as the name implies. And what we offer to the community is hand-rolled sourdough bagels that we make out of our house. We offer delivery and pickup of those bagels on the weekends, and we're also at local farmers markets during the warmer season. So that's what we do. We both have full-time jobs, and we have four young children at the house. So we do this on the weekend, and it's been a lot of fun for us. We've been doing it for about 2 years now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you are in business with a partner, your spouse, and let's talk about that a little bit. What is that dynamic? What role do you play, and what role does she play, and how did you decide that?
Yeah, there wasn't a deep discussion around roles. The roles kind of organically found themselves. I founded the business. And when I say founded, I basically had just a hypothesis, a problem statement that Omaha doesn't have enough good bagels. And so we taught ourselves to make New York style bagels, and we then tested the market, and we're kind of continuing to do that. We've grown within the last 2 years, but we find ourselves playing different roles on a daily basis. And so at the end of the day, there's the product that needs to be made, and then there's the delivery of the product to the consumer. And so we wear all the hats from the beginning to end, I'd say.
Beautiful, beautiful. So finding need and filling a need, that was part of your business model. I'm curious about, since you started it a couple of years ago, what have you learned? You've tested and measured a lot of things, and you started with a hypothesis. What have you learned? What would you share with us that you've learned along the way?
I learned that as a small business owner, patience is really important. If you go into business with a financial goal in mind, it's probably not the best way to approach it, in my opinion. I think you should approach business as a problem. What problem are you solving? It's extremely important to understand what problem you're solving, and then measure your success against your ability to solve that problem. Ideally, if you solve the problem successfully, the financial end of that will come along with it. But just make sure you understand what the thing is that you're solving. You need to solve a problem. And if you're not solving a problem, it's probably just a hobby, I would say. So I would say just make sure that you understand the difference between a business and a hobby, and make sure you are willing to pivot when the time comes to pivot. If you try something and it doesn't work, I would say that's good. You need to fail, and then you need to be resilient enough to go try something new at that point. That's what small business is all about. But you need to be patient, and you need to be resilient, and all the buzzwords, I'd say.
Beautiful, beautiful. How do you take in that market information of what your customers are wanting and needing, and maybe an example of something that caused you to make some changes and make some improvements or pivot?
Yeah, we don't do any crazy analytics. We're literally a husband and wife that make bagels. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. We don't have a big set of software that gathers customer feedback and then makes, that formulates outputs based on that customer feedback. We literally talk to people at the farmers market. We talk to people when they receive our product, and we listen. And then based on that feedback, we say, hey, that's valuable, or, you know, that's just nice to know, and we're not going to do anything with that. And then we discuss internally, and if we think that it makes sense within our business model to make a change based on that feedback, we make the change. But it's a real intentional and organic, and I don't want to say slow, but it's a very measured loop, I would say, that we're consistently going through. We're every single week we deliver bagels to new consumers, and we have an opportunity to receive new feedback. It's you always get the feedback when your product does well. I would say, at least in our business model, we don't necessarily hear when things don't hit the mark. And so seeking out the more critical feedback is a little bit more difficult to do. And so when we have the chance to get some feedback that we'd say is more constructive, at least me personally, I try to ask a few follow-up questions and dig a little deeper into that to make sure I can understand what was going on there.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love the word intentional. And so let's talk about consistency. What do you do with great intention to provide consistency in the delivery of your bagel products?
Yeah, consistency is extremely important, especially for a small business, I would say. If you don't have a really clear business model, first of all, that might be okay. But as long as what you do consistently, and you do it the same way every time. And so let's talk about a bagel, right? There's 5 ingredients in a bagel. We consistently use the same ingredients, the same amount of ingredients, and consistently let the bagels proof and cold ferment and boil and bake at the same time. So it's just a process that we've tweaked. We've not perfected, but we've tweaked it enough that it's very repeatable. Muscle memory kicks in, and we know that it's a good product. So at that point, we consistently make the bagels the same way. We consistently show up to our consumers in the same way every single week. We consistently package our product in the same way. We consistently, add messaging on our social media sites in the same way. And so it's not a surprise to our customers and consumers when they see anything associated with our brand, because it's a consistent delivery method from the product, from the social media, from the personal interaction. Consistency is the foundation of a small business. If you show up one week and then you disappear the next week, you will confuse your consumers and they won't show up again. So consistency is so important.
Beautiful. Now you mentioned that you're doing life with your wife, and you have some children. Let's talk about work-life integration. You've got full-time careers as well. What can we learn from you? How do you manage that? It's not necessarily a balance, it's more of an integration. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's the business, the bagel business, has been actually very helpful in us raising our 4 kids, as it's provided an opportunity for us to teach them about how life works, right? What does hard work mean? It's very difficult for a corporate professional, I would say, to leave their home and leave their home at 7 a.m. and then return at 5 p.m. and then kind of communicate to their children that they're trying to educate and teach by action what they did that day, right? So it's difficult to say, hey, young child, I want you to learn by observing me, because they can't observe you. Our business, happens in our house, and it happens with them present. They get to help. And so they're observing and participating in the business itself. And so we don't see it as a detractor from the time that we spend with our family. It is kind of what we've chosen to do as a family. It happens to provide us the opportunity to teach them about hard work, teach them about business, teach them about how to manage money, teach them about how to interact with a stranger, look someone in the eye, ask questions. So we're using it as an opportunity to both generate income for us, kind of embed us in the community, and also, most importantly, teach our children about how the world works.
Beautiful. So raising up some good humans. I love that. I love
Hopefully.
that. Get the next generation of leaders ready. Curious about what might be some advice that you give your younger self, Henry. If you were to go back and think about when you started this a couple years ago, what would be some advice you would give yourself?
My younger self, I would say, don't squander your time. As a younger individual, I had a lot of free time looking back where I could have been more productive with that time. In my younger days, I didn't look at the world in the same way that I do now, where there's so many opportunities out there, and how you spend your free time is really indicative of how successful you'll be in life, right? And if I could tell my younger self anything now, I'd say, just make sure you're aware of how you're spending your free time, and if you choose to do nothing different, fine, but make sure you're being productive.
Love it. And what do you do? What inspires you today? How do you learn and grow and keep yourself sharp?
I would say, maybe to a fault, just very inquisitive. If I encounter an individual that I think can teach me something, I will ask them about the thing, and just do my best to bring value to the table as much as I can, but understand how they got to that point in their life and ask them to teach me. I'll just ask questions. I'm very curious, and every single person, at least every successful person, and success is very subjective, can teach me something. And so if I see someone that I think has done some things that I find cool and impressive, I'm going to ask them how they did it, and hopefully they'd be willing to share.
Beautiful. Do you seek out mentorship, relationships? Do you seek out certain types of individuals when you want to learn something specific as well?
Absolutely. It depends on the context of the conversation. Within the current food industry now, which I had no experience in the food industry prior, I've met a number of individuals that are involved in the food industry now, and I will very intentionally say, hey, let's go to lunch on Friday. Let me buy you a coffee. Let me buy you lunch. Just want to ask you a few questions, and if there's anything I can do for you, based on the experiences I've had in life up to this point, I'm happy to do that. But if we spend an hour together and we don't, there's nothing to go forward from there, fine. But if we form a relationship, great. It's not necessarily mentor mentee that I'm seeking. It's just more conversation, and then if it organically evolves into something, great. But just being open to that same point around, hey, if everybody has something they can probably teach me, and so if they're willing to share, I'm willing to listen.
Beautiful. Lifelong learning, a very important part of that is curiosity and staying curious and being open and taking in new information. So I can feel that spirit with you. I love it. I love it. So let's tell the world, how do they find you again? Where do we find you? And what's the best way to check out your bagels?
Yeah, Omaha Bagel Company is the name of the business. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have a website. We don't actively solicit orders through the website, but Instagram and Facebook, social media, is the best way to find us. We post our menu every week with about 10 different bagel flavors. You can message us directly through Instagram or Facebook. My phone number's on there as well. You can text me. We get a lot of text orders every week, and then we offer delivery within 5 miles of our house. Or if you're outside that range, we offer pickup on Fridays and Saturdays. And then in the summertime, we are in Exarban at the farmer's market every Sunday from 9 to 1 p.m.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Henry, thank you for sharing some insights with us. It's been just a delight to meet you, and you absolutely can be assured I will be checking out your bagels.
Awesome. This has been fun. Thank you.
All right, thank you.